Welcome back. Let's talk about Seattle, Washington, because there's 737,000 people that live and work there, and it can be important to them and it can be important to you as well. So thank you very much for joining me, and let's jump in. If you're new to my channel, I like to cover the areas usually outside of Seattle, Washington, the towns, municipalities, and cities that kind of get glossed over by Seattle, but I want to do a deep dive into Seattle for you so you have an idea of what's going on economically, as well as the home prices and such, so you have an idea of what you're getting into if you're looking to buy or sell inside of Seattle. Okay, so let's get started. Seattle, Washington is located in the Puget Sound area, and this is our main economic driver inside of Washington state. So Seattle, Washington has a highway that runs north to south, that's I-5, and it goes all the way down to California. So if you are a Californian and you're living in this area, we call it I-5, not the 5. Also, there is I-90 that runs east to west, and it terminates at the stadiums, and it goes all the way out to Chicago. We also have 520 Bridge that connects it to the east side, and that is Bellevue, Redmond, and Kirkland area. Inside of Seattle, Washington is the Space Needle, the Seattle Great Wheel, the Gum Wall, Pike Place Market, and a couple other attractions. And the Seattle Seahawks actually play inside of Seattle, but they practice in Renton, Washington. We also have a hockey team now. That is the Seattle Kraken, as well as the Mariners are playing. And as a lifetime Seattle native, I don't pay attention to the Mariners until it's August, and they might be in the playoff range. So that's kind of a background on Seattle, and let's get into the demo. So on the demographic side, like I said, there's 737,000 people that live inside of Seattle, Washington. Employment-wise, right around 71% of the population inside of Seattle have full employment. Also, on the education side, 67% of the persons that are working inside of Seattle have a bachelor's degree or higher, and the median household income is $115,000, and that is the median, not the average. So if you line up everyone's income from highest to lowest, from left to right, the exact middle would be the median. So now I just want to go over that because it's a little different, because I'm going to give you average numbers in my demonstration. Also on the housing units, there's 368,000 housing units inside of Seattle, and that brings the average population inside each average home to 2. Now let's get into the actual home values, because if you come to me and you say, hey Victor, I want to buy or sell a home inside of Seattle, Washington, I'd be like, hey, I got you, boo. I did all this numbers for you a couple of days ago. But what it comes out to is the average home that is on the market right now inside of Seattle, Washington, is right about $1.17 million. It's been on the market for 65 days, and it's 2.5 beds, 2.5 bath, and 1686 square feet. Now, this is a little bit different, but I'm going to go into this for you right now. This is actually quite a bit higher than what is sold inside of Seattle, Washington, and this is the asking price. So keep in mind, this is just the average asking price, and we're going to go over the closed sales, because if you come to me and you say, hey Victor, I want to know what the home average is inside of Seattle, I say, again, I got you, boo, because I did all the math for you on this, and it's a very large document, and if you have any questions, I'll share it with you also. But this comes from the MLS, and this is all the closed sales inside of Seattle, Washington in the last 5 years, and this is only using April's sales data for each year respectively. So inside of Seattle, Washington, if you wanted the average home would be 1680 square feet, 3 beds, 2 bath, and again, take style, condition, how many levels does it have? Is it a townhouse versus a condo versus a single family? And just kind of forget about that and just say this is the average home. Because inside of the average home, that's where the people live and the average person, and that's who I'm talking to right now. So if you came to me and you said, hey Victor, I bought this house in 2020, in March of 2020, I say that's great, because let's go over those numbers right now. It would cost you on average $935,000 to buy that house inside of April of 2020. March of 2020. Now, there was 1,019 homes sold inside of March of 2020, and on average, it was about 29 days on market. Now, this is the beginning of COVID, so keep this in mind. This is when we had the new market and how things were coming. So everything did change, and I want to just stress this because a lot of the people that were living inside of Seattle moved to the outskirts of Seattle, or they moved to a different suburb like Bellevue, Kirkland, Linwood, Everett. And that's why we're seeing such a high run up in the other areas instead of Seattle. So I'm going to get into this right now for you. But in March of 2020, the average home that closed, this is closed sales, 1,019 closed sales inside of March 2020, was the average house was $935,000. 1 year later, there was about a 19% increase in closed sales, and we closed 1,216 units were closed inside of March 2021. The days on market went down just a little bit to 27 days roughly, and our costs actually went down inside of Seattle, Washington for 2021 on average to $918,000. Now in 2022, this is right before the interest rates changed, but we started to see a bounce back inside of Seattle. And in 2022, we closed on average 1,178 homes inside of that March 2022. And our days on market was right around 15 days, so it actually sped up quite a bit. And the home value was $1,063,000. And again, this is a 1,680 square foot, 3 beds and 2 bath home. Now keep in mind, because all the domestic migration, people were not only leaving the major city center of Seattle and they're going to the outskirts, but they were also going to other areas, even though we have a lot of principal employers in this area like Google, Microsoft, and Amazon. Now, Ian, and keep also, I want to make a quick note on this, but this is literally a month before the interest rates changed inside of 2022. So the interest rates started to run up after this time. In 2023 of March 2023, we sold 759 homes inside of Seattle, and that means that we lost about a third of the sales inside of Seattle. This is also where our interest rate run up. We went from roughly 3% to 6% on the interest rates, and our days on market increased to 25 days. The home price went back down again, but just barely above pre-pandemic, and it was at $956,000. This last month, just in March of 2024, we sold 750 homes inside of Seattle. And on top of that, our days on market increased to 33 days on market, but the average price completed home sale went up to $1,018,000. So I want to give you an idea of where the prices have been, and they've been very steady and close over the last 5 years inside of Seattle. But on the outskirts of Seattle, there was quite a bit of run up because a lot of the people were leaving this area and they were moving out to a different municipality or even a different state with the domestic migration. So this year, as you can tell, our sales volume is actually still at a decline compared to last year and the year before that. So there's been a huge drop off in sales in this area. One thing that I want to point out, and this is actually one reason why, is because if you take that average house, that 1,680 square foot, 3 bed, 2 bath home, and you wanted to buy that, it would cost you roughly $6,300 a month. And that's before your taxes, your insurance, your special assessments, or even your HOAs. So that's $6,300 a month. Well, if you were to rent that and turn around and rent that instead, it would be $4,400 roughly. And again, because single family rentals are different than regular apartment rentals, I want to give you that comparison so you have an idea. Because if you wanted to rent that house, like I said, that 1680 square foot house, it would cost you 141% more to buy it than it would to rent it. So this is one of the reasons why we're getting into an unaffordability issue, is because a lot of people that currently can't afford to buy that are actually renting that instead. And that also gets into our medium household income. Like I was talking about earlier, the medium household income is only $115,000 in this area. Well, when we're actually closing on houses that are $1 million, that means it's over nine times the medium household income to actually buy a house in this area. So it's kind of getting to an unaffordability. So the reason why I kind of cover this, and I want to get into it a little bit with you, is because I want to give you an idea of what it is to buy, sell, or move into this area. If you have any questions, you could reach out to me directly. My number's on the screen. I'm available for hire. I'm a real estate agent in this area, and I've been covering this area for a while, as well as a bunch of other municipalities. As always, it was a pleasure working with you today, and I hope you have a fantastic day.